Alright, what is up guys? VV back with another video, and today we're going to be going over blue-black Sakazuki, the leader from OP05. Going to kind of do a little update video because there was recently over in the East, this is as of 10/14, there was a first place finish with what looks like to be about 440 players. Someone correct me if I'm wrong here. A 440 player tournament where blue-black Sakazuki topped, got first place. That's a pretty big deal. That's a pretty decent sample size, right? And this is a pretty spicy list. So let's just go ahead and hop right into it, and we'll talk a little bit about it afterwards. Okay, after we go through the numbers here. 4 Borsalino, 4 Kuzan, 4 Tashigi, 4 Suru, 4 Sabo, 4 One-Legged Toy Soldier, 4 Rob Lucci, 3 Mihawk, 3 Doflamingo, 4 Zeph, 4 Borsalino, 3 Great Eruption, 1 Marineford, only 1 Marineford, and 4 Sanji's Pilaf. Okay, so just going right into it. I have done a video on this. I did a video on the blue-black Sakazuki deck about a month ago, and outside of the upgrades that black-yellow Charlotte Linlin is going to get that I talked about literally in my last video, this is probably the leader that I am most interested in trying out going forward. This leader is basically everything I wanted Rebecca to be. I'm not saying Rebecca is a bad deck. It's nothing like that. It's just not quite what I wanted in blue-black. Especially, like, I understand the control element of it, but it doesn't feel... It feels wrong, right? And I don't mean that in a bad way. If you like playing Rebecca, you should keep playing Rebecca. This is not like a beat down on that deck right now. I think that is a very legitimate top-tier deck, talking about Rebecca. But this is more what I was going for. This blue-black, this is like a mid-range to control deck. It really depends on how you want to play it. It has versatility to it. It has a lot of strengths. So let's go ahead and look at the leader real quick. Activate main once per turn. Trash 1 card, draw 1 card. This is just a cycle effect as an activate main. It does not require any Dawn investment. It is just trash a card, draw a card. Now, yes, you do have to trash the card first. So if you're down to like your last card in hand and you need to use this effect for the turn, well, good luck. Hopefully you pull something better than what you had. So, it's still an amazing effect. Still an incredible effect, but I was just pointing out that you have to trash a card first, then draw. Okay, and then when attacking, give up to one of your opponent's characters -1 to their cost for this turn. 4 life leader, of course, 5,000 power. This is a little more of what I wanted in a blue-black deck, right? Because let's go ahead and take a look at what we already read over here and really talk about the curve that this deck will feature. Okay, first I want to talk about the odd curve. I think this deck has one of the most disgusting odd curves in the entire game, arguably. Now, this person is running Doflamingo, but I have seen other lists that run Fukuro. Okay, and I think both are fine, actually, but Doflamingo has probably a little more utility, but you're giving up, what do you call it? You're giving up resilience. Fukuro can't be KO'd. You're giving up a little bit of resilience for better utility. And there is an argument that this is just strictly better in OP04 and going forward, like in a lot of ways, because blue is seeing a lot of action, and bottom decking cards is just kind of the new form of removal in this game. So there is an argument that this is just strictly better, because it's a 3-cost 4K instead of a 3-cost 3K. They're both 1K counters, they're both blockers. But instead of cannot be KO'd, well, Doflamingo has top 5 deck arrangement. Just excellent utility there. So you're looking at this for your 3-drop. So turn 1 is really not much when you're on the play in this deck. On the play meaning you go first. There is no real. I mean, I guess see, that's why I gotta skip around a little bit, guys. Bear with me here. I think 4 Marineford is the way to go, because. And I understand, don't get me wrong, this deck that this guy made is obviously very good. He got a first place finish in a 400 player tournament. Okay, I'm not saying the deck's bad. or the pilot. I think obviously this person was doing a lot of things right. But I just think going 4 Marine Forwards is better because it ends up being your turn 1 play for your odd curve, right? But anyway, so let's just keep going. So turn 2, you go straight into Doflamingo. Nice little blocker. Just establish a blocker. Turn 3, you're going to go Zeph. And remember how the leader works. You are going to swing with this leader and -1 to something's cost. And if you have Marine Forward down, there's another -1 to their cost because your leader is Navy, of course. Okay? Well, that means if you have the leader down, you are on play bouncing a 4 or less. And if you have the, what's it called? The stage down. Was I calling it an event? I'm sorry, guys, if I was calling it an event. Y'all knew what I meant, the stage, Marine Forward. Then you'll be able to bounce a 5 or less with this character. Now, it is worth mentioning that, yes, you can trash 2 cards from the top of your deck. I guess that's something to talk about. I'm going to look at 1 or 2 other blue-black decks that are Sakazuki because there's quite a few good ones. And some of them are running Rebecca as part of the package, and that can grab cards back from the trash. So it is worth mentioning that you can trash the top 2 cards of your deck when you play this card. And then you're bouncing a 5 or less. So think of it like this. In this deck, yes, you can absolutely bounce your own guys, right? We just talked about how this card is technically just kind of better than Fukuro. Well, it adds utility now with Zeph. If you need to play it more defensively, you can play this card down and bounce your own guy back. So you get some more value out of your Doflamingos. Or you can play this on curve and just bounce whatever they played last turn. So let's recap. Turn 1, Marine Forward. Turn 2, Doflamingo. Turn 3, Zeph. I should use my little control pointer thing, right? Okay. Turn 4, Borsalino. For those who don't know what this card does, you need to take a second to read this. I know this translation's kind of ugly, but on play, place up to 1 character with a cost 4 or lower at the bottom of its owner's deck. Now remember everything we just said. It's really going to be a 5 or lower no matter what because of your leader's effect. Then if you have Marine 4 down as well, you're bottom decking a 6 or lower. That's nice. For those who do not know, that is very nice. That is going to take out, think about it, a 6 or lower. Well, this guy costs 7. So anything they played last turn is going to the bottom of their deck. No questions asked. And you have a 8K on the board now. A 7 cost 8K. That's pretty decent value. Because remember, guys, a vanilla card is a 7 cost 9,000 power 1K counter with no effect. So this is a 7 cost 8K with no counter with this amazing effect. So just really, really nice. Okay, what else? So turn 4, and then turn 5, of course, finishing the curve with a 9 cost Mihawk. You're going to bounce an 8 or less no matter what in this deck, or not bounce, bottom deck an 8 or less no matter what in this deck because of who your leader is. And then with Marine Forward, you're getting a 9 or less. And then on top of that, if say you have 10 Dawn, like the next turn you played a Mihawk instead of like right on curve, or if you had the even curve, you can combo with Great Eruption and your leader's attack. And now you're bottom decking anything in the game. Just literally anything in the game. Any 10 cost character, any 9 cost character, does not matter. And you're drawing a card from it. And establishing this huge 9K body. Very nice. Very, very strong effect here. Sanji's Pilaf is just good. This is Divination for those who play Magic the Gathering. I think it's Pot of Greed for those who play Yu-Gi-Oh! Someone correct me if I'm wrong. I didn't actually play that game, but I've heard people talk about it at locals. Now, I will say this. The even curve is nothing special. There is nothing really special about the even curve. You just have good filler cards. And notice it's really only cards that are 4 cost cards. Oh, and one more thing. At the 5 cost spot where Zeph is, you do have options for another blocker in Sabo, which is nice. Just good utility, draw card effects, trashing cards. And Sabo is just great, right? I don't really have to do much explaining here. If you don't know what this card does, pause it, read this. You have to know what this card does, guys. It's extremely important if you're playing any version of black in the game currently. Okay, now, Borsalino, we know what this card does. Again, this is kind of Sabo, Borsalino, and typically Fukuro are kind of like your 3 staple black blocker characters. Then this deck is running 4 Kuzan. This is the most interesting part of it for me. This must strictly be for drawing a card, because I don't see where he is struggling to bottom deck anything in the game, right? Like that's kind of the thing. Unless it's like Zeph obviously is just a bounce effect, but like I don't see where he needs to -4 cost anything. He has -1 on Sakazuki. Borsalino's hitting a 4 and up. Mihawk's hitting a 7 and up. You have great eruptions. Maybe it's because he's running 3 Marinefords or 1 Marineford. Like, maybe that's what it is. Because typically speaking, every one of these cards that says KO or bottom deck should say +2. So in other words, it should say 9 or less for Mihawk. It should say 6 or less for Borsalino. It should say 5 or less for Zeph. If you're building the deck with Marinefords, and notice what else he's running 4 Tsurus. There's another -2. 4 Tashigis, another -2. It's just, and of course, One-Legged Toy Soldier, -3. You have these incredible 2K counter package. This 2K counter package is out of this world, right? It is absolutely what Black needed for the cost reduction stuff. And I'm not going to go off on too much of a tangent right now, but looking at OP06, I know that sounds crazy, guys. We're not even on OP05 yet in the West, but OP06 in the East, they're starting to really, I feel like they're starting to really weaken the KO by cost, or the even bottom deck by cost with those cards coming out, because they see how powerful it's become, and I guess they see what's going on, like, okay, now there's access to all of these 2K counters that can cost reduction. I don't want to go off on a tangent there. Let me keep going on this. The last card I really want to talk about before we look at a few other blue-black decks that did well is Rob Lucci. So one of my biggest complaints, everyone knows who watches this channel, who follows me, I can't stand the fact that there is no punishment for filling up the board. Rob Lucci is not a full-on punishment, but it is better than nothing. You are looking at a card that can KO a 2 or less and a 1 or less. And remember, with our Leader's Effect, with cards like Marineford, with cards like Great Eruption, with cards like Suru, One-Legged Toy Soldier, Kuzan, Tashigi, you're going to be able to hit quite a few things with this card. Now, yes, you do have to put 3 cards from your trash back into your deck, the bottom of your deck, but remember what Sakazuki does. He has built-in cycle. You're going to counter cards too, right? You're going to counter with your Surus. You're going to counter with your Tashigis. So again, very, very strong synergy with this card. Excellent. And for those who are, I can hear people in the comment section now, what about Kaido? What about, I'm talking about a low cost board clear. That KOs everything, even your own characters. And for those who don't know, I know, like, this is not the same as Magic. This is not the same as other board games. However, this game is still based on certain balance principles. You have to have certain balance principles put in place for the game, or it cannot function properly. It will not function in a good way. You'll have certain colors that are just winning every tournament. Cough, red, right? Stuff like that. Because, like, look at Law. Law is still winning in OP05. Let me just back out for a second. This is just, in the East. This is in the East right now. So in OP05 meta, here's a Law that topped to 64. Here's a Law that got top 4, in a 400-player tournament. Y'all get the point, okay? I'm not going to mention every single one of these, but there's a reason Law is doing so well, guys. Y'all see all these Law. Look at these Law placements in OP05. And by the way, here, I'll just click on this 108-player tournament. Notice the list. Nothing changed. Sometimes they're adding cards like this. There are a few changes, but y'all know what I'm saying. The core of the deck is identical. Like 40 out of 50 cards are completely identical, and from OP02, I think. Here's some up top 2 with this Law deck. Let's look at this one. Oh, what do you know? It's literally just the deck that people are playing currently. Anyway, and I'm not trying to complain. I'm just trying to say decks like this cannot run the format for months and months and months if you can play a single card that just wipes the board that you can play before turn 5. And that's my issue. Okay, so we looked at the blue-black deck. This is the one we were looking at here. This is from Singapore. This is not from Japan. I don't know if that matters to some people or not. But it does say the author may have been Japanese. It says Hitsuji JP. So, again, I don't actually know what all this means, to be honest. So if you guys know, comment in the comment section below. And I do want to know what you guys think. What do y'all think about... Excuse me, guys. Sorry about my allergies. What do y'all think about this list in particular for Sakazuki? Do you feel like Marineford should be a 4 of? Do you feel like Doflamingo should actually be Fukuro? Or do you like the utility of looking at the cards on top? What do you think about Sanji's Pilaf in a deck that draws so many cards? Is Sanji's Pilaf what black needed? You know, with all the discard and trashing type of effects. And by the way, this guy's not even running any, you know, trash effects like Sakazuki or Kobe. So is this just kind of good? Is this like just good in the deck? Great Eruption. I am very happy to see this card. I think it was Chris from Small Hat Crew talking about how strong this card was just base. And it really is. You're paying 1 to draw a card. That's already decent, right? That's like, yes, I understand it acts as like a cycle, but this also -2s to the cost of something. So, you know, that the trigger's not great, but that's okay. You know, it's still a very strong card at the end of the day. And in a deck like what we're running here, this is just straight up, you know, -2 to their cost and -3 to their cost and potentially -4 to their cost. That's insane, right? That's just incredible. Now, you know, now your Zeph is bouncing a 7 or less. You know, just crazy, just awesome. And if you bounce it around with Rob Lucci, you get -2 to this guy and -2 to this guy, and now you're hitting a 4 and a 3. You know, so again, before we move on to those other decks, I know I went off on a total tangent rabbit trail. I'm glad to see Rob Lucci in the format because while it seems like they're not going to give us real removal, and no, that Kobe card here, I'll look it up real quick while I'm talking. That Kobe card is not real removal, guys. I'm sorry. It's called it's a waste of human life. Yeah, this I know people think that this is like, oh, well, there's your AoE, there's your board clear. Well, notice what deck we're looking at currently, right? So this is the card. Pause it if you want to read it. 8 costs to put all three or less cards at the bottom of their owner's decks, right? Now let's go back to what we're looking at. Oh, it's not in here. That's weird. That's weird. You know, it's not in like the deck it was intended to be in. It's a Navy card, by the way. It's not even in this deck. Not to say you couldn't run it in this deck, but that's kind of the whole premise is no, we need a low cost, a super low cost, like 4 to 5 Dawn board clear, AoE, similar to this, but take the body off of it, like this 4 cost, 6,000 power body, take the body off and just give us a 4 cost KO everything 3 or less. I'll take it. I'll take something like that because that'll be what you need for the black decks or anything that splashes black to slow the red stuff down, especially Law in particular, and even it'd be a little bit of a hit against Rebecca in some ways. I think not completely. I'm not saying it's a counter. I'm just saying it would hurt if they had like, you know, what's his name, Kairos. And Rebecca the 1 cost, Leo, things like that. Again, and Idio, by the way, and Idio. And again, I'm not saying that like, oh yeah, that's a counter to Rebecca. I'm just saying it would be nice to have in the format. Okay, tell me what you guys think about that as well. Am I crazy? I know this game's not the same as other card games, but I do feel that way in particular. All right, now let's go ahead and just look at Sakazuki for a second. And we're going to look at a few other lists here, some of the higher placing ones. This is a first place list in a 3-on-3 tournament. I need to make an entire video about this soon. If you guys are interested in me making a, whoops, there we go, a 3-on-3 video at some point, like explaining what it is and what my thoughts are on it, I can just say something in the comment section below. So we're going to look at this real quick. I just want to look at a few things. This list is very similar. They're at 2 Marine Forts. And I'm not going to read the whole thing out, but the main thing I wanted to talk about is Rebecca. This card, now this makes me think, no, see, they're still running Doflamingo, excuse me. I was going to say, maybe you run Fukuro if you're running Rebecca. For those who don't know what this card does, it is a 4 cost, 0 power blocker with a 1k counter, and return up to 1 black character other than Rebecca with a cost of 3 to 7 from the trash to your hand. Then play 1 cost 3 or less black character from your hand to the field. You don't have to, by the way. I think it's play up to 1 if I remember correctly for the correct wording. Like, you see how this is kind of copy pasted in? I think it's play up to 1 black character, so you don't have to play out a black character. But you can always grab a 3 to 7 from your trash. So you're going to be able to grab your Tashigi 2k counters or your Bartolomeo 2k counters from your trash to reuse them. You're going to be able to reuse your Sabos. You're going to be able to reuse your Borsalinos. And you'll be able to reuse your Fukuro. So that's just something to think about. But we're starting to see a list here. It's the Mihawks, it's the Doflamingos, the Borsalinos. I said Impact Wave, excuse me. Great Eruption and Marine Fort they're just good in this deck, right? Sanji's Pilaf. This one has a 4 of, just like the last one we looked at. You got Rob Lucci. the Borsalino, and again, the Kuzan. So again, we're starting to see like, okay, maybe this is just a nice utility card to have. What do y'all think about 4-cost Kuzan? You guys just, you know, talk to me in the comment section below. Should Rebecca be in the list? And I understand it wasn't in the winning list, but do you think this would improve the winning list that we saw? Right? Now let's go back real quick. I think I wanted to look at one more. It was a bigger tournament towards the beginning. It was like it didn't say the thing on the side. This is the one. This went 9-1. So that's a pretty big tournament. And let's look at the dates real quick. So this one was 10-14. This one was 10-1. So about 2 weeks apart. And then about 2 more weeks apart. Well, about 3 weeks apart at 9-9 back in September. We have another first place 9-1 list over in the East in Japan. And here's what the list, and this is what I was used to seeing. It was even still running Houndblaze, which I think this is a decent card. What are your guys' thoughts on this card? This is a 2-cost. Main, up to one of your leaders or characters gains plus 3,000, then place up to one character with the cost of 2 or less at the bottom of the owner's deck. Trigger, return a card with the cost 3 or less to the owner's hand. Bounce a 3 or less to hand. This one's running Sobbles, 4 Marine Forward, 4 Sanji's pull off, the Houndblaze, the Sobbles we said. It's running this whole package right here in the middle. I'm not even going to click. I'm just going to use my little pointer thing here. Sabos, and notice they're running Bartolomeo, but not the Rebecca. They're running the Mansheri, but not the Rebecca. And I do feel like there's something to be said here. Mansheri's good as well, by the way. Activate main. This is a 1-cost 1k counter, 0 power card. Pay 1, rest this character. You may return 2 cards from your trash to the bottom of your deck in any order. Then return 1-cost 3 to 5 black character card from your trash to your hand. So you're going to be able to snag your Sabos, your Bartolomeos, your Rebecca, the 4-cost Rebecca we were just talking about, your Tashigis, your Borsalinos, your Rob Lucci's potentially. Yeah, there's a lot of utility with this card and with the Rebecca. A lot of recursion going on. So yeah, okay, that's about it, guys. Let me go back to the winning list to end on. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Tell me what y'all think about blue-black blue-black Sakazuki. Are you looking forward to this list? I've heard some people complain quite a bit about this list already. Like, dude, this list is broken, or it's you know, not broken, quote unquote, but like super frustrating to play against. Everything that you play is probably getting bottom decked or bounced back. And yeah, that's what it looks like. You know, like we said, turn 2 Doflamingo to set the rest of your deck up for your cycle effects, and then turn 3 bounce, turn 4 bounce, turn 5 bounce. Oops. Turn 3, turn 4, turn 5. Very strong. And then it's got the backup support with blockers like Borsalino, Sabo plus Doflamingo, by the way. Very strong synergy there where he's unkayable if you play him the same turn. Yeah, a lot of good stuff. All right, guys, I'm going to end the video there. Hope y'all enjoyed. And as usual, guys, please don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Join the Discord, hang out if you want to talk about One Piece all the time like we do on there. And yeah, until next time, guys. Peace.